Hello everyone. Now that we've gone over distribution and combining like terms, we are going to start solving equations. In order to be successful at solving equations, you need those two concepts before we can get here. So when you're solving an equation, you're looking for a solution. The solution to an equation is the value of the variable that will make the equation true. So in order to find a solution, you can use inverse operations, which are operations that will cancel out or undo each other. So let's think about our four operations that we do. It's adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So if I were to start with addition, how would I undo addition? Well, I would subtract. And vice versa, if I had subtraction and I wanted to undo that, it would be addition. The other two operations, so if I were to do multiplication, so let's say multiply, normally in elementary or when you're first learning to multiply, you'll see the little X symbol. The only thing is with algebra, we use variables and very commonly we use the letter X. So that's not really a good symbol to use anymore. What we're going to use is the dot. And to undo multiplication, we will divide. Same thing goes. When you just learn division, you see a symbol something like that. But in algebra, you won't see that symbol anymore. More often, you'll see a fraction or a slash. Okay, so we're going to perform these inverse operations to solve equations. When you're solving an equation, your goal is to isolate the variable. In other words, you want the variable to be all by itself on one side of the equal sign. I have listed the steps to use when you're solving an equation. Distribute and combine like terms, so that's why we spent some time doing those notes. Get your variable to one side of the equal sign. Many times you'll see that the letter is on both sides, so you'll need to fix that. Next, you undo any addition and subtraction, then undo any multiplication and division, and then you can check your work by substituting in. So you'll see these basic 5 steps are what you're going to use when you solve an equation. Today, though, we are going to start easy because we want to ease our way into this topic. We are going to do 1-step and 2-step equations. So we'll open a little booklet and let's look at the left side, 1-step equations. They're called 1-step equations because it only takes 1 step to solve it. So if my goal is to get the variable by itself, or in other words, the letter by itself, I need to move everything away from the letter. So number 1 here has m plus 4 equals negative 12. M is my letter. M is what needs to be by itself at the end. That's how I'll know I'm done. So that plus 4 is in the way. I need to move it to the other side. And since subtraction is the inverse of addition, that's what I'll do. I'll subtract 4. But what you do to one side of the equal sign, you must do to the other side in order to keep everything equal. So here it will cancel out and I'll be just left with the m. But on the other side, I have negative 12 minus 4, which gives me negative 16. So see that? Just 1 step. Okay, number 2, I have negative 15y equals 30. I'm trying to get the y by itself, so right now there's a negative 15 in the way. Since they're right up next to each other, the 15 and the y, it's implied that they are being multiplied. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we are going to divide by the negative 15, which gives us y equals negative 2. Number 3, 6 equals x over 3. It's the same as before. I want the letter to be by itself, but right now it's being divided by 3. The opposite of division is multiply, so I'm going to multiply by 3. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side, so multiply by 3. 3 times 6 gives me 18, and here the 3's go away, which leaves me x. So on this case, the letter is on the right side. That doesn't make any difference. As long as it's by itself, you are done, so you can leave it like this. 18 equals x. Number 4, p p minus 9 equals -3. I want p to be by itself. I know the opposite of subtraction is addition, so I'm going to add 9 on both sides. Here it will cancel, so I'm just left with p equals -3 plus 9 gives me +6. 14 equals 7x. Again, I'm trying to get the letter by itself. So since it's being multiplied by 7, I'm going to divide by 7. 14 over 7 is the same as 2 equals x. And the last example here, 11 equals y plus 3. I want the y to be all alone at the end. So we are going to subtract 3. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. 11 minus 3 gives me 8 equals y. So you'll see in your notes that it's separated. I have 6 questions that we did together, and now you have 6 questions for practice. This will not be turned in. It will stay in your notebook, but we will have a notebook check coming up, and this is one of the things I will be looking for, that all 6 of these questions have been answered. Okay, so now let's look at the two-step equations, so named because this time it's going to take us 2 steps in order to get the variable alone. I have 9x plus 4 equals 22. So here's my letter. That's what I want to be alone at the very end. So this time there's a 9 in my way and there's a 4 in the way. So the 9 and the 4 both have to move to the other side of the equal sign. So what I saw some of you doing the other day when we practiced is you would put a line right here where the equal sign is. That'll help you keep straight what you have to do to both sides. The other thing is I have addition and I have multiplication. It does matter which one we do first. So when we work this out, we always undo addition and subtraction first. So since this is plus 4, we're going to minus 4, which will cancel. But I have to do that on the other side as well. So I'm left with 9x equals 18. And then one more step, because the x is still not by itself, we'll divide by 9, which gives me x equals 2. Okay, next problem. -m minus 5 equals 12. It might seem like there's only one step, but there are actually 2 steps because, again, we want to get the letter by itself. I want m to be by itself. I don't want it to be -m. So let's start by undoing addition and subtraction. So minus of subtract is add. But what I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other side. So I'm left with -m equals 17. But I want it to be regular m, not negative. So what we talked about before is that when there isn't a number in front of it, we have to think of it as there being a 1 here. So let's divide by that -1, which will give me m equals -17. Number 3, 2 equals k over 5 plus 8. So my equal sign is here. I want k to be by itself. So let's start by moving the 8 over. It's being added, so we do the opposite and we subtract. 2 minus 8 is going to give us a negative number. This comes out to -6 equals k over 5. But k is still not on its own. I need to get rid of that over 5. So when it's being a fraction like this, that is dividing, so we're going to multiply so that we can cancel them out. But what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So 5 times -6 gives me -30 equals k. Okay, one more example. 16 equals -5d minus 4. We're trying to get d by itself. So let's add 4 to both sides of the equal sign. So if I add 4, add 4. 16 plus 4 is 20 equals -5d, and these cancel each other out. Then I'm left with 20 equals negative 5d. These are being multiplied, so in order to get rid of that negative 5, we need to divide. 20 divided by negative 5 is negative 4 equals, here they cancel out, so just d. Okay, so same deal as on the left side. This time I only gave you 4 to do. We did 4 examples together, and I want you to, on your own, practice 4 extra problems. This sheet is going to go in your notebook on page 6, I believe. Okay, once those problems are done, this is our assignment. It is a maze. You begin where it says begin, so we are going to start here. So starting with this first problem, it is a two-step equation. We're going to figure out what x equals. So I realize on your page you won't have as much space as I do, but just please try your best. 3x minus 7 equals 17. We would add 7 to both sides, which gives me 3x equals 24. Then I would divide by 3, which gives me x equals 8. If you look at the two directions I can go, I can either go this way or this way. I'm going to choose the one that has the correct answer. So in our case, we are going to go down. And then you would work on this equation, and so on and so forth. Once you get the correct answer, you go in the direction which has your answer. Once you do the problems, you should end up over here where it says end. This will also get put in your notebook. You are not going to turn it in. It will go on page 7. But just because you're not turning it in doesn't mean that it's not for a grade. When I do notebook check, this is one of the things I will also be looking for to make sure that this maze has been completely filled in. This is all for today's lesson for one-step and two-step equations. If you have any questions, please come to my tutoring hours, which are Monday and Wednesday after school, or any day before school. Also, feel free to use the remind to send me a message, or you may email me. Okay, I will see you guys later. Bye.